Indiana, which is to pack it in. This is not a team in Rutgers that gets a lot of damage done on the perimeter. They want to pack it in to force Rutgers to shoot over the top as well as to help with rebounding.
Shooting just 30% from three, the Scarlet Knights this year. Harper will try from three, and of course, as we talk about it, he hits from deep, and Rutgers has the early lead. Cam Mack and Nebraska to work. Thorbjarnarson with the lob to Mack inside.
Really nice job of spacing the floor, Kevin, and rarity you saw. Rutgers kind of got caught watching the basketball. They turned their head, a little bit of a back cut. Nice job by Thorbjarnarson with the delivery.
McConnell handling the point tonight with the injury to Geo Baker. Here's Harper, back-to-back threes. Ron Harper came in just 29% from deep, but he's 2 for 2 early.
And if you're Nebraska, you know, if you would have said in the 2 opening possessions that Harper's going to take 2 threes, you would have lived with that. However, you didn't like the result.
Mack will answer with a 3 of his own. And a 6-5 game. Neither of these teams are necessarily teams that you think of offense first, but both coming out with some good looks. Montez Mathis third in the corner on his birthday. Can't get it to go, but Miles Johnson with the foul.
And that's been a concern for Nebraska all year, Kevin. Has been on the backboards. They're last in the conference in rebounding margin at -10, and this is a team in Rutgers, especially with Miles Johnson, that really likes to pound the offensive window.
Miles Johnson has really taken a big leap forward this year for Rutgers as well, not only as a rebounder, just an overall player. Caleb McConnell with the Scarlet Knights up 3. Wazi Yaboa, a transfer from Stony Brook, recruited to Stony Brook by Steve Peichel. There's a grad transfer joining him at Rutgers for his final year. Here's Johnson, one-on-one in the post, backs it out to Harper. Harper's first miss in the long rebound to McConnell.
Again, a second chance opportunity for Rutgers off a miss. If you are Nebraska, you cannot allow Rutgers to continue to just pound you on the window.
Yaboa's 3 won't go. Thorbjarnarson with the rebound. Here's Deshaun Burke. Back it goes to the junior from Iceland for 3.
Really good movement without the basketball by Thorbjarnarson. He cut down, took the defender with him, then he fanned out to the corner. Really nice job of moving without the basketball there.
5 straight starts now for Thorbjarnarson, and he has really blossomed in a starter's role, Sean, averaging over 10 points per game.
He cuts really hard, and that sets the tone for his teammates. It started with the game at Indiana. He was really impressive there.
Speaking of setting the tone, dive into the floor, lob ahead from Mack. It goes to Cheatham, and Cheatham pinned against the glass. Deshaun Burke going back to work. He misses inside, and a foul. Charity stripe.
And as you might imagine, with 59% conversion rate, the Huskers are last in the conference in that particular category.
Team right ahead of him is Rutgers at 13 in the league as Harper misses that runner, and now Nebraska with 5 on 4 if they hurley. Harper trailing the play. Deshaun Burke has to back it out as Harper recovered. Back to Burke for the contested 3, way off the mark, and Yaboa with the rebound.
And he's picking up where he left off, unfortunately, for Nebraska last time out, where he was 1 of 13 from the floor.
Not what Nebraska can really afford with Deshaun Burke, who's averaging over 21 points per game against Big Ten competition this year.
Boy, that was just an awful pass. A two-handed bounce pass over your head, cross court, and Nebraska.
Take care of the basketball. Giving them easy baskets is not a way to win this game on the road.
And that was about as live a ball turnover as you're going to see.
That prompted the timeout from Coach Peichel to counsel his squad on the sidelines. McConnell with 7 to shoot. Here's Harper. He's had the hot hand, taking it up, can't get it to flush. Johnson with the rebound. And McConnell back to work.
Another offensive rebound for Rutgers, going to force Nebraska to exert more energy here on the defensive end of the floor.
Already the 3rd offensive rebound of this first half. Big concern for Nebraska, and it will be all year long. Rebounding in this league is going to be tough for the Huskers. 3 to shoot, and Deshaun
throw a lob if that opportunity presents itself.
Paul Mulcahy, the 6'6 freshman, and that's a shot clock.
With under 2 seconds, he would have been cognizant of where the shot clock was, Kevin, and gone and demanded the basketball. You had 2 inexperienced players in an out-of-bounds situation in which they're not accustomed.
There's no doubt they'll miss Geo Baker, his experience, his minutes, over 31 minutes a game. Cheatham steps in for the free throw line jumper, a little strong. And the rebound pinballs around to Rutgers. Here comes Jacob Young, the transfer from Texas who sat out a year ago.
Played much better over the last 3 or 4 ball games, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
Really good last time out, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. It was against Caldwell, but it's a big step forward for Jacob Young.
We saw him a few weeks ago, and he was really good against Michigan State in that losing effort in East Lansing, especially defensively.
5 to shoot. He'll have to attack. Wild one off the backboard. That never hit rim. It could be a shot clock violation, and it is.
He wanted to get it up toward the rim and allow Johnson to go get it, but he was never able to corral it cleanly.
Johnson will take a seat now as Shaq Carter comes off the Rutgers bench, the 6'9 senior.
And the 2-3 zone right now being employed by Rutgers to give Nebraska a little bit of a different look.
Here's Mack shooting over that zone, and the 3 won't go. Cross with the rebound, lost it, able to get it back. And the Huskers with 15 to shoot. And Berg with a travel in that corner. Solid game last time out before the new year against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They won 73-52. They want to recapture that magic they had in the win here against Purdue. The final game of the pre-full conference slate. Good move inside to get it to Shaq Carter.
And a nice use of the misdirection dribble by Mulcahy, able to turn the corner with his left hand, and then good patience with the delivery. Nice job by the freshman. He's got a bright future ahead of him, does Paul Mulcahy.
35 assists to just 11 turnovers for the freshman.
Averaged a triple-double a year ago as a high school senior.
Cheatham, little bobble, gets it to Burke. Burke in the paint. That's a good look for Deshaun Burke, especially when he's struggling, Sean.
And a really good job of not taking that extra dribble, Kevin, and potentially drawing a charge. A little bit of a pound dribble, rhythm dribble, rose up. Nice job by Burke.
Some of the numbers as to what he does during Big Ten play. They need him to get things going. Spin on the baseline, but you'll finish it off. Cross cleans the glass. Here comes Mack. So quick with the ball in his hands. Out to Cheatham for an open 3. And that one rattles home.
Talk about the ball deadening.
Not sure you can resuscitate that ball.
No. They got the shock paddles out for that thing. That thing just went up there and just...
What was that?
You don't get that kind of insight just anywhere.
No, you don't. That's Friday night.
Yeah, it is.
Kick. And a kick ball. It's going to each time. Here's Young on the attack. Across. Got an arm bar on him as he came by.
He hasn't been able to convert on those 2 opportunities he's had. He's been able to turn the corner on.
And you can see he's the fastest player on this Rutgers team.
Without question. They need to reverse the ball. Nice job. Nice post up.
Carter with the finish inside against Kevin Cross.
Really good job by Carter of doing his work and coming in and getting his body situated with an excellent post up.
Sergey Green with the skip to Cheatham. 15 to shoot for Mack. Working against Jacob Young. That's speed on speed. Arneson from the corner won't get that one to go. Cross battling for his second offensive rebound.
Nice look by Cross as well. Really good job.
Green hesitates, gets it to Cross. 12 to shoot. For the freshman, but he can't finish at the rim. Cheatham able to save it. New 20 for Nebraska. Huskers get another opportunity. Can they cash in? Now a little confusion. As a history buff, he's probably geeking out just a little bit about that. Or a lot.
So many tremendous college games in the Big Five there in the Philly area.
Miles Johnson,
Nice.
Good work to get low in the block.
And how about getting away from the nonsense and saying, you know what, we're going to our strength. We're going right inside. And Miles Johnson shows you why. He shoots 72%. Excellent execution out of the dead ball situation by Rutgers.
Top shooter percentage-wise in the Big Ten Conference. A lot of his scoring has been on shots just like that. He's really gotten better this year. Mack trying to lob it cross to cross and couldn't get it to him as Young will bring it up the floor on the attack with the stick. Young to the rim to give Rutgers the lead.
And I tell you what, that was made more difficult because rather than fanning out, Harbor ran straight to the rim, took his defender with him. That made it a little bit more difficult for Young. Nice job by Young of getting to the offhand.
Cross with the quick 3 and the rebound by Paul Mulcahy. Young now around the screen, back to Harper. Hit 2 threes right out of the starting blocks tonight.
Nice hands.
Good work underneath, and then Miles Johnson with
a really good job by Johnson there of drawing the contact, and an excellent duck in by Johnson.
And right back to Johnson they go. Almost had that one picked away by Burke. Tough catch by Harper, and he muscles that one up and in.
You don't think that the emphasis in that last timeout was, hey, we're going inside, enough of this nonsense. We're going to take advantage of where our strengths lie.
And it sparked an 8-0 run to give Rutgers the lead as Green's 3 off the mark. Rebound to Harper. Young will push it up the floor. He'll go end-to-end, draws the contact from Cam Mack. So no shame in losing to the Spartans in East Lansing. But there has been a distinct difference between playing at the rack and playing away from the rack for the Scarlet Knights.
You know, the team we saw last night on BTN, Purdue, kind of a similar situation, especially in terms of how they shoot the ball. A marked difference between Mackey Arena and on the road for the Boilermakers.
In is Deshaun Burke, and his interviews and analysis coming up immediately after the game on BTN and the Fox Sports app.
And unlike last night, the host, Rick Pizzo, actually has a competent analyst with him. So it'll be an easier evening for Rick Pizzo.
Which is always our concern, to make things easier for Rick Pizzo. There's Mulcahy trying the no-look. He should have looked because there was traffic there, and Gervais Green gets the steal.
Yeah, excellent call right there, Kevin. And the only chance that that thing might have had would have been a bounce pass. A lot of hands there.
Kavas will try from deep. That's his specialty, but he couldn't get that one to fall. And Ron Harper Jr. with the rebound. He puts the brakes on a little bit.
And now just a straight-up zone by Nebraska. Going to try to take away that inside presence of Johnson. But a good job by Mulcahy there at the high post and making herself available. And it pays dividends because what you saw, the white jerseys had to honor Mulcahy at the high post. They got caught watching the basketball. That allowed McConnell to step in.
McConnell's been a little limited offensively of late, just 4 points per game in the last 6 games. With the Geo Baker injury, we may see his offense blossom a little bit. He's certainly a capable shooter, as you saw there. Nebraska trying to answer. They cannot. And Harper the rebound. 12-1 run ongoing for Rutgers as Young drives inside, has it batted away. Huskers just 2 for their last 10. They've missed their last 6 in a row. And there's a
Huskers. That allowed McConnell to step into the 3.
After the first foul on Ouedraogo, 4th on the team. Back to work goes Rutgers. Young, he's made a real difference with his speed as he gets to the rim, off the window.
Really solid at the post, career high for Mad Harms. And then on the other side, Daniel Roturu continues to make a statement as an All-American candidate for Coach Richard Pitino, and Marcus Carr, a yeoman effort, played almost the entire game, played 48 of a possible 50 minutes.
Huskers trying to find some offense as Cheatham will try the contested 3, way off. Burke there, rejected by Johnson.
Full miss, but Miles Johnson not just able to convert on the offensive end, a defensive presence as well for the Scarlet Knights.
Burke with 5 to shoot, out to Kavas. He'll try the deep 3. That dies on the rim with a rebound to Yeboah. Really struggling to find any range. They've missed their last 9 shots now.
Oh, that was a double dribble.
No call. Fred Hoiberg was making the call, but he didn't count on that one as the lob inside to Miles Johnson gets 2 more for Rutgers.
And it was the inability again by Nebraska to contain dribble penetration, which provided that opportunity. We've seen Young be able to do that for Rutgers there. It was Yeboah able to come off with that little bit of a circle cut, get ahead of steam going, and then lob it up for Johnson.
Burke collides on the way to the rim.
Step over and potentially draw a charge for Nebraska. Just a breakdown in the inability to contain dribble penetration, really hurting Nebraska right now.
Arneson to the rim, that one popping out. Mack able to get the carom. Now Cam Mack. Deal with this Rutgers size, shooting over it. That hits the side of the backboard. Deshaun Burke's struggles continue, and then a foul coming back the other way.
It's had to do with the fact that over the last 4 or 5 minutes, it coincides with this run, Kevin. Rutgers has done a much better job of taking care of the basketball and eliminating leak-out opportunities for Nebraska.
And starting to stretch their advantage on the glass during that time as well. Now out rebounding Nebraska by 6 is Mulcahy floats that one in there.
How about the tough shot by Mulcahy switching to the right hand?
Cheatham underneath,
and also the officials as well. Put them in a position where they have an opportunity to maybe get into the bench a little bit deeper for Rutgers.
Crowd trying to get behind the Huskers here in Lincoln, down 9. Jacob Young around the Carter screen. McConnell into Carter. Working against the freshman Cross. And the rebound caught by Hanif Cheatham. Not a bad idea, though, to go into the post. Mack. Oh, a skip pass. Open for 3. Cheatham can't get it to go, and Harper gets the rebound off the tip.
Yeboah, really good job of running with a rim run. They just missed him there.
Jacob Young. Here's Harper. Hit too early. Can't get that one, and Cheatham with the board.
And Nebraska, even though, to your point, Kevin, he knocked down a couple early, they're going to play the percentages and say, you know what, we'd rather have Ron Harper shooting out there than right at the rim.
And Cross with the
gotten into any kind of offensive flow after that initial 3-minute flurry.
Well, Sean, Nebraska's 1 for their last 13 from the floor, and they're down by 6.
And now with Miles Johnson in the ball game, I'm going to make sure he touches it. Now they've gone to a little bit of a zone action. Harper can do some damage there, but they could go a little high-low action if Harper cuts at the right time and makes himself available.
Harper just 1 for his last 5 after the 2-for-2 start. Here's Harper. Tough one to handle for Yeboah. 7 to shoot. Yeboah, and that'll be a travel.
That's going to be a flop warning.
New emphasis this year in college basketball. First one's a warning they play on. After that, any delay of game is a Class B technical. Here's Cheatham driving to the rim, and that's an easy finish.
Kevin, this is a pretty simple game, all right? Or they wouldn't let me near it. Quit hoisting threes. You got a team in foul trouble. Continue to attack.
Harper.
That's cut.
McConnell got Phil Gargerson in the air, and he couldn't get recovered in time to get the stop.
Really good job by McConnell coming behind that back line of defense, turning, locating, getting his feet under him, the utilization of a shot fake. Nice job by McConnell.
15 to shoot for Mack. Dan Mack working it over the 3, up and off by Burke. Nebraska just 3 of 14 from deep in the first half.
And if you're Burke, boy, I would have liked to have seen a shot fake and, again, attack off the dribble.
3, a little strong. Rebound tipped out by Miles Johnson. Nice play, and then a collision between Yeboah and Cam Mack.
On contact, then they also did the right thing. Once the ball was corralled, they killed the play in the interest of player safety.
10 to shoot as Johnson works right back inside. And as you said, with Miles Johnson back on the floor, he has to get touches for Rutgers. Now, where do the Huskers go without their floor general, Cam Mack, out there? Here's Cheatham, 15 to shoot. Cross now with 10 on the smart shot clock. Drives inside and a foul. Lost 20 pounds since he got here. There's some youngsters on this team with some bright futures with Fred Hoiberg and his coaching staff.
Player development going to be a big part of this program, and as it is with any program. And right now, again, that zone defense being employed by Nebraska, that high post area and the ability of Harper to make a play either for himself or for Johnson down low, going to be something to watch.
Harper with 5 on the shot clock. Harper gets past Burke. The forward. Johnson with the flush to finish.
And it was the offensive rebound, but again, Kevin, it was the inability of Nebraska to contain dribble penetration, which hurt them.
Johnson, 10.7 rebounds in the first half for Rutgers. Burke on the drive. Tough running for Deshaun Burke.
And you know what? When you're really struggling and you're aiming the ball rather than shooting it, attack off the dribble. He's athletic. He's shown the ability to convert with some difficult shots. Now, hey, maybe you get a dribble drive and a foul, and you see it go through from the line as well.
Here's Johnson, the skip to Young. Johnson inside. Back to McConnell. Young with a look and a foul on Hanif Cheatham. Young hits all three of them. He's got 8.
And he has been a force with his ability to get into the lane with that left hand and put Nebraska way too many times, if you're the Cornhuskers, in a scramble situation on the defensive end.
Cross thought about it, now shoots it. And the long rebound to Gervais Green. Green will drive up. Harper with a rejection. Rutgers has stretched that lead back out to 9, looking to go back up by double figures. Mathis on the floor. Oh, my goodness.
For our BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance.
Cheatham pinned inside by Harper. Long rebound chased down by Johnson. It's worked by Young in the open floor. Turns on the Jets. Lost the ball on the way up. And Nebraska will go the other way. Back out it goes to Cross. Huskers had closed that down to a 6-point game, but Rutgers is stretched to 11 here before halftime.
And you want to make sure, if you are smart. Smart stop by Cheatham.
Now Young the other way.
Even though he didn't get the foul call, don't settle, especially with the foul situation that Rutgers finds themselves in.
10 seconds left in this first half. 11-point lead for Rutgers. Young. Here's McConnell deep. Good at the hole. They would not let him back out there if they thought there was any chance of complication. So here he is. Huskers are certainly happy to have him back out there. So we've got to find some offense. So Bjarnason on the drive and the turnover to Rutgers.
Defensively did not allow Nebraska to get into any kind of comfort level in that initial offensive sequence for Nebraska.
Caleb McConnell around that Johnson screen. Entry inside to Johnson. This has been a very good play tonight. It is again.
And you could see in the bounce in his step. I mean, he demanded the basketball. They made a concerted effort to get him. They might have missed him once, but he didn't get frustrated, reposted, and was rewarded.
Bjarnason tries the 3. Not going to go. Nebraska 3 of 16 from three-point land tonight.
And Kevin, if you're Nebraska, there's still plenty of time. You can't forget the foul situation that Rutgers has in that backcourt. You might continue to attack off the dribble in order to give yourself a chance to climb back into this thing.
Mulcahy with 3, Mathis with 2, and of course, don't forget Geo Baker out tonight and indefinitely with a left thumb injury.
And that's just a bad shot. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. No ball reversal. You take a long shot. Now you got to try to settle back on the 3, and it's returned with another bad shot by Rutgers.
Michael, they had 1 in his first year, none in his second year, 3 last year. Trying to get it started with a road win here tonight. Nice drive from Ouedraogo to get to the rim. As you've mentioned, Sean, there are some easy buckets there on both sides. We saw it from both teams in the first half.
And to kind of pay off your point with Rutgers and road wins, how about the fact 16 conference games played thus far, the home team has won 15 of those 16. So in addition to what you've seen with Rutgers individually, collectively, this would be a nice win early on in the conference slate for Rutgers.
Michigan State, the only team to figure out anybody on the road so far in conference play this year, as the drive from Deshaun Burke rims out and a rebound to Ron Harper. Long pass ahead and the touch by Johnson.
He has to be a playmaker for somebody else in a situation like that in the open floor.
There's Cam Mack, 5 points, 3 rebounds tonight.
Nice.
Good look inside. Ouedraogo on the bounce. Johnson there to recover to get the block.
I still like that set. And a year from now, he'll be able to catch and complete that play. Don't let the size of that young man's body fool you. He's only 17 years old, playing here in a Big Ten game and playing significant minutes.
Mack will push it up the floor. Underhands to Cheatham, and Cheatham is fouled. His career with the Huskers, but a terrific international career in which he played in a couple of Olympics for the Australian national team.
And of those 14 rebounds versus the Islanders of Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 6 came on the offensive window for the freshman.
One of those guys you talked about earlier, development in a program is going to be key for him. Beautiful look from McConnell. Mathis can't finish it off underneath. And the ball ripped away by Nebraska.
There's still plenty of time. There's no need to start hoisting threes.
As Max hoists a 3 and his foul.
3 in the conference in that category. And that was interesting. 8 guys in the lane and play on.
I was sure that one was either going to be waved off or redone. But on we go. 12-point advantage for Rutgers. Boa looking to get things going on the baseline. He drives it up for his first 2 points of the night.
Good job by Yeboah, but a really good job and a smart play by Carter as well. As Yeboah dribbled to him, rather than remain stationary and allow his defender to stay there, you saw Carter kind of vacate that area. That took his defender with him, so rather than 2 white jerseys, Yeboah only had to deal with 1.
Floater by Mack, got his own back. He can't get it to go. Rebound away, Drago backs it out. Now Cheatham looking for Mack in the corner with 14 to shoot.
Smart job. Rather than settle for that 3, yeah.
And a big one for Greg Gard and the Badgers.
And it has been a nice string of impressive performances by the Badgers, especially going on the road about a week ago and getting a much-needed win against an SEC foe in Knoxville against Tennessee, and they have carried that over into the new year.
Mack way off on that 3. And
going to the rim off the dribble drive because it served 2 purposes. It gets you a better shot, and it also continues to rack up the fouls on an undermanned backcourt with the injury to the Scarlet Knights and Geo Baker.
Harper working. Finds McConnell. This little sidestep with the dribble.
And that was a nice pass, but there's no way, Kevin, that pass should be able to get through there. You had 3 white jerseys there. There's no way that a bounce pass should be able to get in the middle of the lane in those close quarters.
Drago traveled with it. And Hoiberg in his first year at the helm, only 50 points returned on this roster, the lowest for any power conference team since Indiana all the way back in 2009. So he knew there'd be growing pains with this group for sure. McConnell with the 3. And again, Caleb McConnell hits from deep.
Sorry, Kevin. And again, it was Mulcahy showing some basketball savvy, getting in the gut of that defense, and then not just letting the ball stick. He looks weak side with the ball reversal to McConnell, who was able to step into that 3.
Cam Mack plucks it away and finds Cheatham filling the lane. Underneath Cheatham into double figures for the 9th time in the last 10 games. He's got 11 to lead the Huskers.
And Mack, we talked about his proficiency in terms of assists. Also, second in the conference in steals, ironically, to the injured Geo Baker for Rutgers.
Here's Mulcahy. Feed Carter with good position underneath. Can't finish at the rim, though. The rebound to Gervais Green. Green. Oh, it's pocket pick from behind. Nice play by McConnell. Here comes Mulcahy up the floor, leaving for Carter. Rutgers fortunate to keep the possession. There's Mulcahy, one of the few headband wearers left in college basketball. His dad put him in a headband very early when he was a kid because he looked like all the other kids on the floor. His dad was having a hard time. I'm a dance dad, and so I can relate to that. I wish my daughters would have been in headbands when they were dancing. It was always hard to tell which one was which with 13 little girls dancing on the stage. I can understand that from the father of Paul Mulcahy, putting him in the headband as the 3 rattles home for Gervais Green.
Boy, that's much needed. And it wasn't pretty, but boy, did they need something to go down if you are Nebraska, because the 3-point line has been far from a friend of the Cornhuskers this evening.
Young trying to turn the corner. Carter filling the lane, runs it up, gets the turnover ratio again tonight for Mulcahy. That's been about the average this year. As the offensive rebound won't go. Yeboah back in there to foul for it. He puts it up and in. And timeout called by Fred Hoiberg. Now the offensive rebounds 11 for Rutgers. Defensive rebounds, 11 for Nebraska. Scarlet Knights have an edge on the glass, as expected, as Gervais Green can't get it to fall at the rim. Another rebound for Rutgers and Miles Johnson.
But you have to like the set put forth by Nebraska coming out of that dead ball situation, emphasizing getting into the line, and what you're going to have right yet, that the skill level was starting to come. And then last year, he showed you flashes. He's remade his body, and he's just playing so much more confidently, especially on this end of the floor.
He's such a smart guy. He learned from his mistakes. This is a kid who had an over 4.0 GPA in high school and had 4 offers to play in the Ivy League coming out of high school. And there he is with a two-hand hammer. Smart enough to know to stay around the rim at 6'11" and flush it home.
He's an engineering major, and he didn't need a protractor to finish that one.
You can just see the learning curve and the steps he's taken to become one of the better posts in the league in just his sophomore year. There's a lot more to do.
And a really good pass. Now, he had a passing mistake early on, but the thing that impresses you, he didn't let one mistake become 2 or 3.
Kavas with the 3 that goes
far for the redshirt sophomore, 6 on the offensive window.
Injured most of his senior year in high school, still had those Ivy League offers with the GPA that was sky high. Ended up coming to Rutgers and has continued to grow as a post under Steve Peichel, and waiting there with hands outstretched for the pass from Mulcahy, battling at the boards and finally gets the tip in.
And I tell you what, it's one thing to get beaten, it's another thing to get outworked, and there's no other way to put it. On that possession in particular, Nebraska just flat out got outworked, and that is going to annoy, you name it, it's going to annoy it out of the coaching staff in Nebraska.
Kavas with the 3 to break the 8-0 run for Rutgers. Double-double number 4 for Miles Johnson, as the quick run down the floor won't go. Cam Mack with the rebound. He'll push it up for Nebraska. 10.5 to go in Lincoln. Cross with the 3. And rebound number 13 for Miles Johnson. Not sure if you got an accurate tabulation of the rebounds that he had on the constant tip play a moment ago. Mulcahy driving inside. 10th in the nation in offensive rebound percentage last year, so it's not as if it's a big surprise to see him work on the glass, but he has gotten even better in that role.
And the player that is drawing the assignment on him now, his counterpart for Nebraska, he can use Miles Johnson
into double figures with 10, now 11 for Cam Mack.
And obviously, Nebraska wants to put themselves in a position where they're going to be within striking distance. But right now, if you're Coach Fred Hoiberg, his coaching staff, and the rest of this team, you want your team to continue to compete and play hard. You cannot have possessions, as we saw on that tip drill by Miles Johnson, to become the rule rather than the exception.
There's McConnell on the spin, got free of Kavas and floated it in. McConnell's acquitted himself very
well.
nicely. 16 points tonight. Playing a bigger role with the injury to Geo Baker. Remember, this is a guy who'd only averaged 4 points per game in the last 6. Gervais Green's 3 won't go. Swooping in is Deshaun Burke. Kavas got an open look. And Green tips the rebound to 62-45 Rutgers. Looking for a 2-1 start in Big Ten Conference play. Looking for a road win. It will not be easy to come by in this league. I don't care where you're playing.
Big one earlier tonight for Coach Greg Gard and the Wisconsin Badgers. That is an impressive win to go on the road and win in Value City Arena in Columbus.
Mathis with the shot clock winding down had the launch, and that'll be a foul.
Standing that most times, 8 or 9 times out of 10, a shot taken on one side is going to carry him to the other. He did a good job of finding and then putting a body on Harper.
Back around the Kavas screen. Drago was not looking for that one. Fortunate to keep the possession. Mack will launch. That shot clock winding. Drago with the offensive rebound. The freshman will take it up. Can't get the roll. And Johnson the rebound, ripping his arm away.
And again, I really like the play by Drago. A year from now, again, he's not going to rush that. He'll complete that play.
talked with him about what had happened. None of these guys want to toss anybody from a game. They want to see all these guys play to the best of their ability. Because I promise you, every official would love to be on the call at the end of a thrilling game that was decided by a last-second shot and not a foul.
And the other thing he's talking to him about, Kevin, I'm sure, is that, you know what? We've forgotten about that play. You do the same. Let's both move on.
And then Rutgers answers with the three from Harper. His first three since very early in this game. He's got 11. Burke will turn the corner, and foul going to...
Nice job, stepping into the starting lineup.
18 points, Sean. 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Excellent work tonight from McConnell, and then Burke with the turnover as he got loose on the baseline. Here comes Jacob Young.
And on those 18 points, perfect from the floor. Look at that, by magic, it popped up. Come on.
TV, is there anything it can't do? Nothing there inside, and that one's going to go out for a pair. Northwestern and Ohio State to follow for Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg's first year, there's going to certainly be some growing pains, Sean. There'll be nights where things work like they did against Purdue and Indiana for the most part, and then there are going to be nights like this.
A complete, literally an almost complete roster turnover. You're talking about guys that have only been together for the equivalent of, what, 4 or 5 calendar months?
They got a little taste together in Italy, but you and I were here for that opening game against Riverside, and it looked like a bunch of guys that hadn't spent a lot of time on a basketball court together.
And then you contrast that with the 2 opening games in conference play where they pushed Indiana all the way to overtime and had opportunities to win. And then you follow that up less than 48 hours later with a really impressive performance against the Purdue team.
Might have been the worst.
They've also limited the number of second chance opportunities that Nebraska has been able to enjoy.
12-0 in second chance points for Rutgers tonight. That's that work on the glass. Cheatham on the baseline. Takes that one home.
That's a big-time move because Cheatham took it right into the chest of Johnson, who maintained verticality. That is a very tough conversion by the grad transfer Cheatham.
Right spot tonight. He's got 16 for the Huskers. 10th game in doubles this year for Cheatham as a Husker. Penetration, and Jacob Young able to get it up and in.
And Young able to turn the corner, but you could see the respect growing for Johnson as a post player because he occupied not 1 but 2 white jerseys, and that allowed it to be a much easier conversion at the rim for Jacob Young.
Young, 4th Scarlet Knight in double figures tonight. He's got 10 and a reach in at the line. Front end not going to go. The long rebound. No, nice tip back by Mulcahy. Another smart play by the freshman.
I like him. I mean, he doesn't have to take a bunch of shots. He gets the ball to guys in a position where they can do something with it. We saw him cutting with a purpose against the zone defense, coming from behind and then becoming a playmaker. And he's very efficient with the basketball. You mentioned it earlier, Kevin, a 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio.
3 to shoot. Young going to have to hurry. Going baseline all the way to the rim. Just beats the clock.
And that's just way too easy. That just was a breakdown of the will defensively by Nebraska right there.
Here's Green with the 3. Gervais Green with 6. (71-53). Rutgers about to move to 11-3, barring a big Husker rally. More importantly for Rutgers, 2-1 in conference play for the first time since joining the Big Ten and the first time since they were in the Big East in 05-06.
Nice cut.
And Harper fouled. When you combine for nearly 30 points out of that backcourt, not too bad. And more importantly for Jacob Young, building on that performance last game, you looked at it and you said, okay, that was Caldwell. This is a little different here on the road in Lincoln. Jacob Young doing stuff like that all night long.
Really good job of understanding once he turned the corner, Kevin, it was a small thing. He kept the defender on his hip and kind of rode him as he went into the lane. Really savvy play by Jacob Young.
45-30, the advantage on the boards now for Rutgers. Let's stretch that a little bit as Shaq Carter has it taken away from behind by Gervais Green. Green trying to push to cheat him. Defense by Mulcahy. Drago working against Carter. Slips inside for two.
Really good job by Drago of understanding that he...
There's Cross right off the bench, right to the rim. Kevin Cross has 7. He struggled shooting a little bit from behind the arc of late. I like him on the move to the basket. He's got some athleticism that if he's playing a bigger guy, it's going to be hard to defend.
And he's a really good passer and a capable and willing passer as well.
Jacob Young is showing some skills tonight.
Now, the next time Young dribbles down the floor, he has to be cognizant of the fact the officials were talking to him. Even though he's the ball handler, he cannot initiate the contact. And he was coming very, very close. Good job by the officials of talking him through it. They warned him. Now they'll call the foul if he tries to utilize that same strategy.
Young with 16 now. 6 of 11 shooting, 4 of 5 at the line. Young again, nice feed to McConnell, who's got 20.
Kevin, we talked about just the body language and the confidence that we've seen develop with Miles Johnson. The same over the last 2 or 3 weeks could be said of the Texas transfer Jacob Young.
Career high for McConnell. As easily off the bench, he gets to the rim, and he'll go to...
One of their starters in Willis, you had with Michigan, Isaiah Livers out for the foreseeable future. So as much as getting hot and momentum can play a part in who's going to win and who has the potential to advance into postseason play, injuries will play a significant role in that as well.
Freshman Akal Rope on the floor now for Nebraska, 6'6" freshman from Omaha. Great prep grad in the Omaha metro area. He's a recruit on Tim Miles' staff that the Hoiberg staff opted to keep. Is the basketball inside. Easley will start it the other way for the Huskers. Easley fouled on the drive by Pinnacle Banker. Rain will be hopping again tomorrow night. Have it for you right here on BTN. McConnell working against Easley. Under a minute to go here in Lincoln. Scarlet Knights had never won a game in Lincoln before. That's an exclamation point on their first win in the capital city of Nebraska as Miles Johnson pounds it down with 2 hands. It's been a terrific night for him, tying his career high with 18 points. Real good performance tonight for Rutgers. They'll shoot 55% from the floor tonight, Sean. 5 of 14 from 3. They've out-rebounded Nebraska 47-30. And McConnell. Shot clock at 7 as he finds Young. Young around the screen with the 3. Won't go. Rebound for Cross. And Sean, you heard Jess and Rick talking about in the studio. Is it time to start believing in these Scarlet Knights?
Well, I think that they had their believers